What a day it has been, man, oh man. I have been watching everything play out on social media, and I have been loving the gymnastics going on with YouTubers that never wanted to ever talk politics, and now they are forced to have to talk politics. And a lot of them really hate Trump, and they are trying to thread that needle as carefully as they can, but you can easily pick up on TDS the moment that you see someone talking about anything in regards to Trump. And this is the best timeline ever. Now, obviously, today, Nintendo announced they are delaying Switch 2 pre orders because of Trump's tariffs. Now, they didn't specifically use Trump's name in it, but all of these headlines and websites that hate Donald Trump are going to run with that. And it's far more detailed than Donald Trump's tariffs. And you can tell how many people have no idea what's going on, and they're just reading headlines like this one, or they're reading headlines from Polygon, or they're reading headlines from IGN. I mean, this is the typical mainstream media talking points right here, where they don't actually want to tell you that they're called reciprocal tariffs, meaning that whoever Trump is placing tariffs on is a country that's already having tariffs on the United States. It's called reciprocal for a reason. And a lot of these YouTubers don't actually know anything about it because they're not willing to do any research whatsoever. So they're just running with the latest headlines. But with all of that said, it has caused a monumental breakdown on the internet within the gaming community. And I think that it's the best thing ever. Now, I tweeted something out about it. I basically said this right here: delay the Switch to I stand with Trump. I also tweeted, I think Nintendo is using this as a way to indirectly deal with the massive backlash they're getting right now. Not a terrible move if true, but certainly shady. They did this to themselves. They shouldn't have hid the prices and announced it during the direct. They have done this to themselves. I will continue to say that over and over again. If you watch the first Nintendo Direct from 2017, Nintendo was extremely transparent with the pricing and all of the details that the general public needed to know. With the Switch 2 Direct, they were clearly not wanting to talk about the price. Now, as I've said, as a Nintendo fan and as a person that's going to get 1,000 hours out of Mario Kart World, I personally don't have a problem with the pricing, but the heavy majority of other people do. And I am far more sympathetic to the customer than I am the corporation. So I'm going to side with the customer, even if I'm not as personally invested in that fight as they are. I will always side with the customers, and the customers are pissed and they are letting everyone know about it, especially Nintendo. And Nintendo can't do anything right now without getting absolutely annihilated. In fact, here's the latest Nintendo Treehouse that they uploaded, or they had a live stream today. Here's that video right here. Oh, wow. The video is private because once again, they were getting bombarded with drop the price, drop the price, drop the price. It was all day long, and they cannot get away from this. It doesn't matter how hard they try, they can't. And I want to pull this particular tweet up from Andre from Game Explain, because I've been a fan of Game Explain for a long time. Game Explain at their height, they were actually competing with IGN for some of their reviews in terms of how much traction they were getting on YouTube. They have like 1.5 million subscribers, and they get no views anymore. And it's mainly because I think Andre has alienated so many people, whether it be people that's worked for him or how he's run his business, which is not my business per se. But I think that the politics and the fact that he has put the personal politics that he has behind the Game Explain brand, he did it with Black Lives Matter and some other nonsense. But right here, he says it's absolute bonkers how one man is just absolutely wrecking everything, even Nintendo and its customers. Although there is a certain irony to how the keep politics out of my games people are now being forced to deal with it thanks to their own actions. And he follows up and says, also, while I'm riled up, the attacks on trans from this administration have been absolutely disgusting. There are only 1% of the damn population, and yet they won't shut the F up about people just trying to live their lives. Leave them alone. They aren't hurting anyone. So they're only 1% of the population, yet we hear about them nonstop every day from the mainstream and from Hollywood and from clowns like you. I'm not going to get into that topic, but I just wanted to show how he continues to alienate his audience. And so I responded and I said, I voted for your tears because it did. I'm a longtime subscriber of the channel. I've always been a fan of the channel. In terms of the content that they provide, generally speaking, on Game Explain, it's really good. But when he started to put his personal politics behind the brand of Game Explain, I think that's where he lost a lot of his traction. And I think this is going to happen for a lot of Nintendo YouTubers across the board because they are going to have to deal with this. They're going to have to address it. And the problem is none of them want to. None of them want to have a real conversation about what's going on about reciprocal tariffs. Look it up if you don't know what it means. But the whole point is if you have a problem with Trump's tariffs, guess what? You need to have a problem with every other country that has tariffs on the United States of America. This is going to get ugly before it gets better. And that's just how this works. The art of the deal is in motion, and Trump is prepared to do what he needs to do to keep his campaign promises. And the 75, 80 million people that voted for him, like me, are completely okay with that. And the problem with a lot of these people that cover video games is that they've never wanted to talk politics, and now they're forced and they have no idea what they're talking about. Well, guess what? That brings me into the equation, and I have always dealt with whatever is right in front of me. Again, I'm a huge Nintendo fan. I am looking forward to the Nintendo Switch. We have a huge Mario Kart stream every week that pulls 2,000 viewers minimum on YouTube, and we have a blast. And we're going to continue to do that. Mario Kart World is going to be a huge, huge game for us. But I can also sit here and tell you, delay the damn system. I don't care, because the bigger picture is to support the greatest president of all time, Donald J. Trump. And I have no problem saying that. And I'm never going to apologize for being a Trump supporter. And I cannot wait to see all of these people continue to tap dance around this issue and showing they have no idea what's actually going on. So I am going to continue to cover all of this. Nintendo continuing to have some bad energy around them. And it's amazing how this is all played out because, like I said, the Direct was awesome. The Nintendo Switch 2 Direct was great. We did a live reaction to it over on the Geeks Gamers Play channel, and it was awesome. I thought they did everything almost perfectly. However, it was a little strange that they didn't mention the price, although I didn't really notice that at first. And like I said, probably because I follow so many of these new Nintendo YouTube channels, and there was high speculation that was going to be between $400 and $500 anyway. So I guess I didn't really think about that. I was really, really excited about all the amazing announcements that we had, over 50 games, Mario Kart World, and everything else that came along with it. And then after I went on the Geeks and Gamers daily live stream shortly after, and I remember Ryan or Jay had mentioned that the games are $90 or $80. And I'm like, where are you guys getting these prices from? I haven't heard this. And they're like, oh, it reported here, reported there. Now, it turned out that the $90 for Mario Kart World was not correct. That was not correct. It's $80 physical, $80 digital. The problem with that is that so many people ran with that $90 physical and $80 digital, that narrative got out there. All Nintendo had to do was address this directly during their Nintendo Direct, and none of this stuff would have been blown out of proportion. Now, I'm not saying people wouldn't have been mad. They probably still would have been mad, but at least it would have been a very controlled situation. But when Nintendo wanted to be shady and not actually address it, and they wanted people to have to jump through hoops to find the price that they were clearly avoiding. And it's just been an avalanche since then. And now, with the tariff situation and them delaying pre orders, I'm not sure I have seen a bigger collapse of fortunes in such a short period of time, with Nintendo coming off this insanely successful direct to then a couple of hours later, it just starts falling apart. And then today, announcing that the pre orders are going to be suspended for now. Absolute cinema, baby. I love it. You guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you very much for checking out this video, and we will talk to you later.